Why am I so pale? Stop it. Hey Spoonies, today I want to talk to you a bit about what it's like for me to live with TOCD, which is Tourettic OCD. Let me start by saying I am not diagnosed officially by a doctor. Before you start hating on me for self-diagnosis, I'll tell you this. I generally don't believe in self-diagnosis, especially when it comes to like mental things, but this specific condition is so specific and so overwhelming, intense, exhausting and time-consuming that you just know sometimes. Let me tell you how I realized that I had it. Ever since I was a kid, like 5 or 6 years old, I've had these obsessive and compulsive thoughts and behaviors, and it's never been about doom is happening if I don't do it. It's just been that I cannot get comfortable, I cannot stop thinking about it until it's done. I was diagnosed with Asperger's, and in that diagnostic process, they concluded that I have obsessive compulsive behaviors and thoughts, so that much is on paper, but they never specified because they said like, yeah, it's common when you have Asperger's, and we never, took a deep dive there because I didn't feel it was necessary. I already knew that I had it because I'd had it all my life. So then I was on Tumblr one day. I saw this text post, somebody had been asked the question, what is OCD versus TOCD? How do you know you have TOCD? And the person that they asked just wrote this really long post, and I can rarely focus on long posts, but I read every word and it was like a description of my life, and I was just completely taken aback and started researching this term, and like I had never identified with every part of just the term OCD because I don't have the doomsday feelings. I don't have the feelings of, oh, somebody's gonna die if I don't touch this doorknob 15 times. And then it got even kind of funnier because I talked to my dad about this and he reacted the same way I did. He was amazed and he said, this is what it's like for me. We've just never talked about it. He's always been very much, he needs things to be his way. But I didn't know that he had tics and things. He has to touch corners, he has to tense certain muscles, like all these things. And then I thought, because my brother has always had tics as well, kind of sound tics and things that he does. We both had a lot of tics in childhood. We just contributed it to him being kind of hyperactive and annoying because he has ADHD. My brother doesn't like anything to be wrong with him, so I really tried to talk to him like, do you have to do this or you'll feel bad all day? And he finally was like, yes, fine, that is how it is. So me and my brother and my dad have this. So just imagine that there is this pressure in one of your body parts. Say my arm is one of my things that I do. I have to tense my arm like this. I tense my armpit almost, and then also recently I've had to like try and straighten out the muscles around the fold of my arm. Inner elbow, maybe you call it, I don't know. Sometimes both at once, like this. And it never stretches out enough because elbows don't work like that. You give yourself sore muscles a lot. If I don't do it, it's not just that, oh, there's a bit of pressure. It's so intense and overwhelming that you cannot think about anything else. And it's not even physical pressure. It feels like physical pressure, but technically there is no pressure. It's like in my head. Maybe you have the same thing that you obsess over that you need to do. Say, touch your microwave 15 times before you leave home. And somebody with classic OCD might feel like something bad's gonna happen when they walk out the door if they haven't done that, or something bad's gonna happen to their family, or they just have really overwhelming anxiety about it, or they can't leave home at all. For me, it's more like, if I don't do that and I go to my friend's place, some days that I don't have it as bad, I might be able to still have fun, but some days, if I don't touch the microwave 15 times, I will not have a good time at my friend's place because I'll keep thinking about my microwave and I didn't touch it, and now both of my shoulders feel wrong, and I feel like they are not my shoulders. They are wrongly placed on my body, but like mentally, this sounds so weird. You just become overly like aware of certain body parts. So some of the things that I do, let's see. A lot of it is about feeling uneven. It used to be for me that things had to be in even numbers like 2, 4, 6, etc. And then it changed because I realized my dumb brain had a thing, more than realized, because it doesn't make sense, that even means there's a dot in the middle as well. And I say dot because I often think in dots. When I was a kid, I saw this kids show called Kalles klättrar, and it's about this young boy who loves this tree where he just climbs up and lays on top of the tree because it's a cartoon and branches aren't pointy, I guess. And he lies there and he thinks about things all day. It was educational, and so in one episode he had measles or something. So he had this fever dream where these red dots are kind of dancing around, grouping together. And that's how I learned to count as a kid. I don't know why that has become such a thing that stuck with me, but I often think in dots, in red dots, for some reason. So, for example, one thing where this kind of plays part is when I drink water. It's not as much when I drink other things, I don't know why. I drink from a water bottle because I'm constantly dehydrated, so I just have a water bottle by my side all the time. And when I drink from it, I have to take 3 sips, 5 sips, 7 sips, 9 sips, etc. Sounds like a beginning of a Dr. Seuss rhyme. And if I don't, if I take 2 sips because there isn't enough water in the bottle for 3 sips, I will collect saliva and then swallow the saliva the 3rd time. So it counts. It's the same with kissing, which has been a bit embarrassing sometimes when explaining it to a new partner. Like, you have to kiss me 3 times, you cannot give me 2 kisses. I will go insane. I sometimes sit like this. Just because I feel like my mouth is wrong. I don't sit like that in front of people. When I had to still have water, my hamster, I would go like at him. Not because I wanted to talk to him, but because my mouth wanted to do that. So it was like an excuse to do that, and now my finger just did this. Because it's a tick I have to tense my fingers sometimes. When I am on my phone, I sometimes have to tense my thumbs and stretch them out like this until the tension is as much as it can be, and then let go. And I don't know why. I don't know why I do any of this, but it's very exhausting. At work, it was a big distraction, especially when I had a lot to do. And don't get me wrong, I love having a lot to do. I've always been like, please have me overworked rather than not having anything to do. So I really was thriving, but still, in order to like cope with all of the things I needed to do, I had all of these tics throughout the day, and people started noticing. They didn't say anything, but I could tell. We have this thing called fika in Sweden, which means you take a break for like coffee, tea, and a snack. We had 2 fika breaks a day. I was always having tea, so I always had my mug, and then every time I put it down the table, I would have to re-put it down on the table, and sometimes I need to put it down, drag it, and put it down. Sometimes I would have to put it down and then swoop away imaginary crumbs. There weren't even any crumbs, but I'd have to do that movement. Sometimes I would not have my tea in like the personnel room. Sometimes I would have my tea in my office because my tics were so bad that I didn't want anybody else to see. I also have this thing where I sometimes need to blink at things. Sometimes I need to blink at my feet when I walk. So when I take 1, 2, 3 steps, blink at it. 1, 2, 3 steps, other one, blink at it. Like, and it becomes, I can't walk to the bus without doing it. I hope nobody's looking at me because I'm being so weird. I was playing a phone game the other day, and I have this ring on my phone where you can put your finger through, so it doesn't hurt for me to hold it. So obviously I can just see my fingertips kind of sticking out on the other side of the screen. And then I had to only see one so I could blink at it. I didn't want to blink at the other ones, but I couldn't reach like that. So I was like fiddling with it until I dropped my phone eventually because it just didn't work. The first tic I can remember having was this. I actually do it still sometimes. I think yesterday I had a bit of that, and then I had this. And that's all my parents first noticed. And my brother had a similar thing. He had to put his shoulders up, and then he destroyed all of his shirts because he had to tug on his shirt collar all the time. I think this is also probably fairly common when you have ADHD because you have that extra restlessness inside you that may be contributing to you having more tics when you're restless. It's also gotten worse since I started with my ADHD meds, and so far it's been worth it because they help me so much. These days I have so much brain fog that I don't know anymore if my ADHD meds are helping me, so I'm thinking in the future maybe I'll try and go off them and see what happens, because right now the bad side effects, such as my extreme tics, kind of overweigh the good things. So yeah, it is very exhausting, very time consuming. Believe you me, it does not help with chronic fatigue when you have all of these things to think about constantly. My pain and my fatigue and my flu symptoms and all of that kind of makes me not ever able to completely relax. However I sit or lie down or stand, there's always going to be something hurting, and there's always going to be something that's uncomfortable or stiff and kind of locked in the wrong position, or there's always something. This, a lot of the time, adds to it even more that I'm never ever able to completely relax. So yeah, I think that's it. You're welcome to ask any questions at all that you might have. Okay, it's time for a nap. Bye!